So, good afternoon, ladies and gents, and welcome back to the course. Today, I wanted to do something really different and something really fun. And for that reason, I got this slideshow from Professor Anne Pearman. She was here with us from America, an American professor, in 2018, as you can see it in the slideshow, and she was kind enough to get in contact with me, and she really wanted to kind of teach into one of my courses, which was a media communication course, the same as this one right here. It used to be on Mondays. It's quite nostalgic at the moment, and she was actually sharing this slideshow with me later on, which I really appreciated, and I really enjoyed teaching her materials in the light of the media. And she was talking about intergender communication, how your love language, how your intergender functioning is changing in a media sphere. We were introducing, and we will introduce today as well, intergender communication to you. And then in Teams, we will actually take a look and talk about it, how the media has altered this kind of segment of communication, because we are living in a constant online period, and our intergender and romantic communication has been highly affected by this one. So I thought it would be very exciting to take a look at this. And on top of that, I will have sent, or by the time this video goes live, I think I have sent, a questionnaire for you once again, which you needed to fill in. And then we will have a look at your love languages and how you think it has changed and how you think it is at the moment. And we will take a look at all kinds of tips and tricks for you, how to be communicating according to your own needs and love languages as well. Okay, so that's it for today. Let's take a look. So we will learn about the nature of intimate relationship, the characteristics of romantic relationships. It's all about romance today. I'm hoping that you will enjoy. Forming and communicating romantic relationships and the research of Dr. Gary Chapman. That's going to be the 5 love languages. And I'm sure that so many of you might have or must have heard about this one, because Gary Chapman's 5 love languages book is quite actually well known or quite famous. But if not, I'm hoping that I can show you something really exciting and rather fun. I think it's really fun. And of course, improving communication in intimate relationships, and we will always put it in the sphere of the media. So I'm hoping that you will like this one. Let's take a look. So medical consequences of loneliness and heart diseases are going to be practically the same. So people are kind of putting it on the same kind of platform, that we can be just as unwell because of being lonely as because of having a heart disease, which is really crazy. And they say that single people in the United States, whether never married, first of all, or widowed or divorced, so just like single people, they have like 2 to 10 times higher of a death rate than married people. So that's crazy, isn't it? That like those people who are single or lonely, they have got much higher of a chance of dying earlier than those people who actually have a companion in their lives, either in marriage or like a partnership or something. And this was true of all ages, ethnicities, and both genders. So none of the variables would change this study, which is really crazy, right? So we want to talk about the nature of intimate relationships and also intimacy when it comes to intergender communication. We can say that intimacy in relationships will require deep commitment, which is going to be rather, we have mentioned this in previous courses, rather complicated in the online sphere when you have got 1,000 friends on Facebook and you have got like another 1,000 on Instagram, or maybe less than that. But, we constantly are available to other people. At least there is this false representation of availability for us. So intimacy should be deep commitment, which is going to be disturbed this time even more. And commitment is the desire to stay in a relationship no matter what happens. So commitment is going to be, defined this way. Now, commitment takes, of course, several forms, and in a very healthy relationships, in the long run, all of this will most probably occur, or most likely. Emotional commitment, very importantly, you need to love each other in order to be in an intimate relationship. Social commitment, so that you kind of show it to your social surroundings as well, that you are a couple and you don't want, anybody else intervening. Legal commitment, that could be marriage, for example, when you're legally tying your lives together. Financial commitment, we all know that a family, be it like just two people or maybe with children or something, is going to be like a financial kind of like organization as well. A family unit is, because you need to be supporting the family, supporting the household and doing stuff as well. So financial commitment is also going to be rather important in intimate relationships. Now, intimate relationships will foster interdependence. This is very important. And interdependence, as you can see, like one doggy is helping out the other one. It's when something happens to one person, it will affect anyone else in the relationship as well. If it doesn't, so something happens to your loved one and you don't really care about it, that's going to be an indication that that's not a very deeply committed relationship. Intimate relationships usually have a high interdependence, both emotionally and also maybe socially and maybe legally and maybe financially as well. But of course it's a very important factor that two people will be interdependent on each other. The most important one will be emotionally, because that's going to be the driving force to be staying in that relationship and be committed to each other. Now, intimate relationships will require continuous investment. That's also really important. Investment is the commitment of resources and energies to a relationship. Investments to a relationship can be, of course, like time investment, that you spend time with the other one. Energy, of course, yeah, for sure. Finances, of course, just like taking out the other person, it's going to be financially burdening. And people in intimate relationships are often aware of how much they invest, and that's very important, that you know how much you invest and see how much the other person invests as well. In the new media and the media surface or surroundings, it is going to be also a matter of conflict once again, that an investment a social investment can occur from one side, for example, sharing common pictures on your Instagram wall that this is me and my girlfriend or me and my boyfriend. And maybe the other person is not responsive. Maybe the other person does not want to put out a common picture with you. And it can be because they don't use social media that often. It can be because they're not very exposive and they don't want to expose themselves. Or it can be other questions as well, like they don't want to show you on display, which is of course very much hurting the ego of the other person, and we start thinking what's wrong and why don't you do that, and it's a lot of matter of conflict. How do you handle these conflicts, ladies and gents? Have you ever had that another person wanted to go socially I wouldn't say that they want to go all in, and show that you are with them, and you don't want to do that, or the other way round. How would you do it? How would you act in this situation? Because the media in this situation as well is going to have some tasks for us to conquer, or some obstacles for us to conquer. Good. Intimate relationships, will actually spark dialectical tensions as well. So how you actually talk to each other. And that is, of course, going to be also the media will have an impact on this one as well. We are set to be the most sarcastic and ironic society ever, our period, and the present 20 to 30-year-olds who have been kind of growing up in the meme culture. So our relationship communication has been affected by the media as well. There is these boy power or girl power kind of societies and online communities which we follow, and then they will have a wrong kind of an impact on us in how we communicate in an intergender situation. The dialectical tensions are conflicts between two important but opposing needs, which is going to be, for example, autonomy versus connection, when you want to be on your own or with the other person all the time, openness versus closeness, predictability versus novelty. This is something that the different genders don't really have on the same page. For example, females tend to enjoy predictability quite often. They're I know when you come home, when I have to be pretty for you, when I have to be ready with the dinner for you, when I have to do this, do that for you, and stuff like that. Predictability is an important matter. So many girl acquaintances of mine will always say that it's so annoying because you are trying to be timing washing your hair on the day when you've got a date or something, and that's not an issue for a male because washing hair for them is like 2 minutes and for us it's like 1.5 hours. But of course it's going to be like a need for predictability. For males, predictability is not as important according to research. It's going to be like novelty, being spontaneous, being, like fun and not so like, like predictable. They're like, oh, I'm going to do this at 5 o'clock tomorrow. That's going to be like a problem in the dialectical kind of sphere of couples quite often. Okay, some romantic relationships will emphasize exclusivity. That's very important. For example, monogamy is going to be very important, being in only one romantic relationship at a time and avoiding romantic involvement with others outside of the relationship. The media is not helping this one once again because so many times infidelity can be suspected, or we say that so much of infidelity occurs nowadays. I don't think it's more than it used to be. I think it's just more retraceable than it used to be because now we're doing everything in a written form, and I think some people got away with it earlier, so I don't think we live necessarily in a worse society than we used to. We definitely have got more chances, and on top of that we've got everything written down, so once it all falls out, people will get to know, and it's easier to not get away with it, of course. And so also there are matters like, why would your loved one be texting somebody else, liking somebody else's photos? It's just always like making couples in monogamy, in a monogamous relationship, question the other one and the other's deeds as well. I'm not sure if you have had any liking problems or liking issues before, if your loved one was liking opposite sexes, like images and stuff like that, or somebody like competitions, images and stuff like that. I'm not sure how you think about it or feel about it. Some people say that, or some of my students say that it's unacceptable. So if you've got a boyfriend or a girlfriend, you don't want them to be liking or texting others, outside of the relationship. Some people are easygoing with this one. Infidelity, by definition, is having romantic or sexual interaction with someone outside of one's romantic relationship. Not much to say about this one. Okay, now some romantic relationships will emphasize love, and much of the Western world is going to think of romantic relationships being based on love. And that's a very important issue in here. Loving someone is going to be the main kind of driving force towards further commitments, such as moving in together or forming a long-term relationship, or maybe marrying someone, or maybe bearing children with someone. Sometimes entering a romantic relationship can occur due to financial stability, and Hugh Hefner and his media darling, I don't know what they're doing in here, but probably it has got something to do with this. Some relationships are between same-sex people and some between opposite-sex partner. Both types of relationships communicate quite similarly, to be honest. And just to make sure that you know about it, I will show you a world map as well very soon. But in Hungary, for example, and I'm not sure about your own countries where you're coming from, but in Hungary, couples gained the right to be legally recognized, same-sex couples in 2018. And that is something, like, to be legally recognized, it means that you can have a partnership legally, considered, but they're unable to have a marriage in Hungary. That is not a thing. That's forbidden. Okay, polygamy. One person has 2 or more spouses at once. This happens, I think in quite many countries, maybe in the Middle East the most, and I think you can have, but please let me know if you know somehow else, but I think that it's majority of countries it's going to be 4 wives, the maximum that you can have. In certain cultures you can have multiple husbands as well, as far as I know it, or in my opinion, as my students told it, but it's not very typical. So it is going to be that polygamy is going to be rather spread in the Middle East. But a study done by the Pew Research Center in America, they say that adults in France, Italy, Spain, South Africa, and at least 20 other countries were more likely than Americans to say that having an extramarital affair is morally acceptable. I'm not sure what you think or what other people think in general. Polygamy in Hungary, for example, is not accepted, so it's neither legally nor morally accepted, I think. So if you say that you're having like multiple girlfriends, boyfriends, and stuff like that, it's going to be not very welcome, to be honest. So as I have noticed it, legally for sure not. So many movies and so many I think TLC had a couple of series in which there was this one guy, American guy, and a bunch of girls. I'm not sure wives, I don't think so, but because it's illegal there as well. But a bunch of ladies who were bearing children for him. They lived in a communa, and there was a series about it as well. So the media is showing images and footage of these kind of relationships as well. Yet in our country, for example, it's not really an issue. I'm not sure about yours, really. If it is, I'm sure that it's not legally accepted in the majority of our countries that you're coming from as well. But maybe morally it's more acceptable. Maybe, I'm not sure. Okay. Yes, in Western cultures versus the Middle East, Asia, and Africa, there is something that we call an arranged marriage. How I Met Your Mother, I met her on her wedding, yeah. And an arranged marriage is going to be common for other people in these countries like Middle East, Asia, Africa, where usually a person's parents are going to be choosing the individual's romantic partner. What is interesting to me, for example, is that the media is portraying this as, in majority of times, in a bad light. So it's just always the same, movies are going on that there is this couple and this poor girl has to marry a guy, but she really doesn't want to, and she's got another love that she loves from the heart, but she still has to act upon her parents' will, and that's how she needs to be executing it and doing it. And majority of times the media will actually portray it as negative. What is interesting to me, or what was interesting to me, is that research shows that those couples who were put together in an arranged marriage will be not less happy in the long run in the marriage than those couples who actually got into the relationship out of love. So that's quite interesting, in my opinion, that these couples will be happy as well, or maybe happier as well. Quite interesting. I'm very curious about your opinions about this one. Okay, questions. Would you marry someone you didn't love? I'm not sure what you will say about this one, or how culturally dependent this question is. Although many people in individualistic Western cultures would say no, they say, at least Professor Pierman noticed it, that in many collectivistic societies, people would say yes, that marrying someone not out of love would not be such a problem. Even if it's not an arranged marriage, the parents' agreement or suggestion would be taken in consideration quite a bit. So that's how it goes. In China and India, for example, the choice of a spouse often has more to do with the wishes and preferences of the family and the social groups than it does with the love itself, or with love itself, even if the marriage isn't arranged. So it's quite important, as I've mentioned, how the parents and the social surroundings will actually react to your choice. And but I'm not sure how it goes in your own country, whether your parents would actually talk into your business of choosing whom to go out with or whom to have a romantic relationship with, or whether it's culturally dependent or family will depend on the family, really. I'm not sure, but they say that China and India are going to be a good example to having a pressure from the family on your choices. Yes, absolutely. 69% of the United States participants would say that they would only marry the person they love, and majority of participants from India, Pakistan, they said that it was not necessary in marriage to have a love relationship. Expectations for love. Sociologist Francis Hu explained that when considering a marriage, an American will ask, "How does my heart feel?" And a Chinese person would ask, "What will other people say if we get in a relationship or get down to marriage?" Of course, Professor Pearman's slideshow will ask always like Hungarians, because we did have it in a Hungarian course, but like I'm wondering about everybody else. Like, what do you feel about it? How does your culture think about it? Would you actually consider your parents' opinions or choices? In general, what do you think? Okay, let's see. I told you that I would show you a map about the social and legal acceptance of same-sex and like romantic relationships, which will dramatically differ amongst the different cultures as well. At present, we do have a couple of countries with full legal recognition, for example, Argentina, Belgium, Brazil, Canada, France, Iceland, Ireland, Luxembourg, Norway, Portugal, Spain, Sweden, South Africa, United States, Uruguay. These are the places where they are like fully recognized. According to Professor Pearman, same-sex marriage is also legally recognized in some parts of Denmark, Finland, Mexico, the Netherlands, New Zealand, and the United Kingdom. So not the whole country, not the whole state, but some parts of it, or some counties, I would say, or some, legal regions of the country, if you will. And then Colombia, Hungary, Slovenia, Switzerland, they recognize civil unions or domestic partnerships. We do this, the domestic partnerships, ourselves since the 18th of February 2018. So that's what refers to Hungary in this case. Here is a world map where the countries, of the countries which have legalized same-sex marriages. But I want to show you something else in which you can see where it's prohibited, which is going to be Guyana, Uganda, Pakistan, and Tanzania, where people are convicted of engaging in same-sex relationships will face life in prison. So that's quite like banned in these places. However, we do have an even like bigger kind of a punishment in other countries, other nations, including Iran, Nigeria, Sudan, United Arab Emirates, Yemen, Saudi Arabia. These countries will impose a death penalty on those people who turn out to have violated the laws of banning same-sex marriages or relations, indeed. I mean, marriage is not an option, of course, because you will be executed in these countries. Now, romantic relationships will vary in how we actually handle conflict. The media, as I have mentioned, does have a huge impact on this one too. So I'm not sure how you think that the media is kind of affecting how you act in a romantic relationship as well. But we do have these movies as well, such as Bridget Jones's Diary and All That Jazz, which is going to be kind of showing an independent woman and doing this, doing that. So the conflicts are going to be rather much influenced by the media, but I'm curious what you think about it. Conflict is an expressed struggle between at least two interdependent parties who perceive incompatible goals, scarce resources, and interference from the other party in achieving their goals. So we've got two people who want to be functioning together, like they're interdependent, such as a romantic couple, and they're facing some obstacles that they want to be handling. We do have 4 types of handling the relationship. Validating, for example. Validating couples discuss disagreements quite openly and cooperatively. That's quite good, right? You've got a problem, you take a sit down, and you're kind of trying to defibrillate about it and try to understand each other's points of views in a cooperative manner. Volatile couples discuss disagreements openly, but at the same time competitively. So it's like, I am listening to you, but I'm going to show you that my opinion is the right one and you're wrong. Okay, that's going to be quite bad. Conflict avoiding couples. This is also quite bad for the relationship. They will discuss disagreements covertly rather than openly. So they will just want to feel that it will go away, or let's just not kind of talk about it. Let's just sweep it under the carpet and it's going to go away anyways because time will heal it or something. Not good. Hostile couples, probably the worst. Couples who have got frequent, very intense conflicts, people shouting at each other, doing this, doing that. Of course, stress can kind of, well, I'm not saying that it's an excuse, but stress can cause a lot of this hostile behaviors. But we all should be striving towards the cooperative, open kind of communication that we should do or implement. Now let's take a look at this one, and this is the fun part now, ladies and gents. So the 5 love languages. And I have, given you the questionnaire and you needed to fill it in. And I'm hoping that you found it, well, it's going to be a very basic questionnaire, in my opinion, how Dr. Gary Chapman decided to kind of, see if you're this kind of a love language person or that kind of, because sometimes you would like to be circling both alternatives, of course. But let's take a look. It's like you needed to circle which one is rather fitting your personality, right? Let's take a look. Okay, the 5 love languages profile is an analysis of each person's emotional communication preference, and we will see you as a person, like what sort of a primary love language you've got, what it means, and how you need to be connecting to other people and deepen the relationships with others. So it's just like a few tips and tricks to you. I'm hoping that you will like it. So here are the 5 basic love languages that we can see. Words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of services, and physical touch. Let's take a look, ladies and gents. Number 1 is going to be words of affirmation, words of confirmation, or practically words of appreciation. This is going to be the main kind of issue in here. One way to express love emotionally is to use words that will kind of make the other person feel super good, super well. And psychologist William James actually said that possibly the deepest human need is the need to feel appreciated, to feel welcome, to feel cared about. That's very important to us. Words of affirmation will kind of meet that need in many individuals. And I'm thinking about quite straightforward verbal compliments or words of appreciation, which are going to sound like, I value how intelligent you are, or you look so incredible today, or I really like how you're always on time to pick me up after work, or you always make me laugh. It's interesting that there is also a gender difference in here too. Majority of times males will like to be complimented on their sense of humor, like an internal kind of a feature, like you make me laugh, you're so funny, you've got a great sense of humor. That's going to be quite a compliment for a male. And for a female, majority of ladies will enjoy being complimented on their looks. So an external kind of feature that, oh, you look incredible in that dress, or I really like your makeup today, or your hair is really pretty, or something like that. Okay, of course, varies individually, but majority of times that's what research shows. Okay, next up, it's going to be quality time. And we have been mentioning, ladies and gents, that the main capital of the 21st century is attention. And that's what we have got very, very little of. So quality time is going to be giving someone our undivided attention. And quality time will not refer to sitting on the same couch, being on your phones or using social media, talking to other people while sitting next to your loved one watching TV. Okay, that's not quality time, of course. Quality time is going to be much rather going out to eat, looking into each other's eyes, talking about something, taking a walk, doing something, putting your smart devices away, giving each other your full, undivided attention. If you scored high in this one, and I think nowadays, due to the media pressure, we do have a lot of issues with this one, because as we have mentioned, even while being entertained, of course, like with watching a Netflix show, we enjoy being entertained on our phones as well, and then, we are just doing multiple things at the same time. It's the same with romantic relationships as well, which is really bad for the relationship, that while you are talking or while you're being with the other person, your loved one, you are like, yes, I'm just sending these 15 messages to other people. The other person will not feel valued. And if you have got a person in your life, a special someone whose primary love language is going to be quality time, then your undivided attention is going to be needed. This is going to be important, and that is going to be quite hurtful to the other person if you're not doing that. Receiving gifts. Now, ladies and gents, if you scored high in this one, you're not like the child of the devil. It's not a problem, you know. And you're not materialistic. It's just like you like a little something at some point. It's not a problem. And a gift is something you can hold in your hand and say, look, he or she was thinking of me, or she remembered me, or doing something, you know. And a gift, I'm not sure if you have got it in your own language as well. We don't, but the English language will make a difference between a gift and a present. We don't really do this in Hungarian. And in English, the gift is always a meaningful something for the receiver, okay? So it's important that a gift is going to be something you give someone that you know they would want or like or be happy about. And a present, however, is going to be something that you give someone that will be not meaningful, really. So it's just like, I'm not sure if you did that, but sometimes we did that on class in high school, that we put like all the names of the class members into a big hat, and you pulled out someone and you needed to give them the Christmas presents. And we did have it that sometimes you pulled out someone's names that you never speak to and you don't even know them, even though we went to the same high school for 8 years, and you have got no idea of that person, which is really bad. And so you just pull someone out and you give them a present. It's like, here is a mug, a pair of socks, a candle, a soap, there you go. You know, these kind of things, these are presents. A gift is going to be something that the other person will want and will be happy about. It's not really important, like what sort of a price it is, so it doesn't have to cost really much. A gift itself is the symbol of thinking of the other person. It can be just a piece of flour, it can be just, you know, something little, and that's going to be like a materialistic kind of piece of some tangible something that you can give to somebody by showing that you have thought of them. Acts of service. Now, this is going to be rather the opposite side, or like the other side of words of affirmation, because it's not just like telling that, oh, you're so beautiful and you're so kind and you're so funny or something. This is actually doing something for the other person. I highly value this one. I think it's super important. So by acts of services, we mean that you're doing things you know your partner will be happy about. And it's like a service that you're doing. For example, your loved one goes away for work, and by the time they get home totally tired, you maybe did the hoovering, you vacuum cleaned the whole flat, or maybe you did the washing up, or maybe you put the children down. Maybe you just were showing some affection to the other person by doing some actions that you know the other person wouldn't have time about, or time for, or wouldn't have a will to do after a long day of work. So you are practically seeking to please him or her by serving them, to express your love, by doing things, actually. They require thought, planning, time, effort, energy, sometimes money as well to get things done for the other person. Maybe you go out shopping and cook the favorite food of your loved one. That's going to be an act of service. And I think so far, all of them are super important in a romantic relationship. But this one is going to be one of them as well. I think, yeah, but, you know, the stresses are going to be different for everyone, how important certain things are for you. Physical touch, there we have it. This is the last one. This last one is quite difficult because not only will it differ individually how much you enjoy being physically touched, like how much you enjoy cuddling or hugging or kissing or doing some stuff, but it's also going to be quite culturally dependent as well. So in certain cultures, here in Hungary, for example, we enjoy giving kisses to each other when we are greeting each other. It can be that you're friends or something, or family, but it can also be that it's not like friendship, but it's actually something like an absolute stranger or an unknown person as well, who is going to express like happiness to have known you. Now, in certain cultures, for example, Britain, and I did that quite often in Britain until I realized they never kiss each other. They hug each other way more, and they just don't like that. In Hungary, we would consider a hug way more intimate, if you ask me. So it's like touching all this, your front, with somebody else's front. That's going to be more intimate than giving 2 kisses to the other person's face. Oh, sorry, I keep receiving messages in Teams once again, which is going to be problematic. So implicit love touches are going to be quite important, and you need to know if the other person's love language is going to be primary love language is going to be touching or not. And it's very important that if it's not, then you shouldn't be all over them, because it's just going to be, problematic for them, and it's just going to be too much to handle for them. I think that's all for today. Let's cut it out here, because improving communication, of course, that's important, but we have kind of spoken about what to do, what not to do. Let's move into Teams right now. Let's talk about your love languages, and let's talk about how the media, new media, social media, and the whole social presence you think has kind of infected or impacted your own love languages and your ways of functioning in a romantic relationship. I do hope that you've enjoyed today's class, and now let's move into Teams and talk about it together. Thank you so much for your attention, and see you in a moment in Teams. Bye-bye.